Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving deep into the world of Ayurveda.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Have you heard much about Ayurveda before?
I've heard of it, but to be honest, I don't really know that much about it. Like, I know it's old, right?
Oh yeah. It's an ancient system of health and well-being,
Okay.
thousands of years old, originated in India, and we'll be talking all about it today.
That's good.
Our guide for this deep dive is a book by Dr. Danister L. Pereira called Ayurveda, a simple approach to royal path of perfect health.
A simple approach to royal path of perfect health.
Yeah, that's the full title.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to go way beyond the basics today and see how you can actually apply these ancient principles to your own life in the modern world. What do you think?
I like it. Let's do it.
So one of the things that makes Ayurveda so unique is that it's a personalized approach.
Right.
It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It recognizes that each person is unique.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And this uniqueness actually ties into the concept of the doshas. Right. Now, but before we jump into the doshas, can you explain how the 5 elements in Ayurveda relate to them?
Sure. So Ayurveda believes that everything in the universe, and that includes us too, is made up of 5 elements.
Right.
Ether, air, fire, water, and earth.
All right, the classic element.
Yeah. And these elements combine to form the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha.
Okay.
Each dosha represents a specific mind-body constitution.
So like a personal blueprint for your health.
You got us.
That's really cool. How would someone figure out which dosha is dominant for them?
You know, it's all about recognizing patterns in yourself, like your tendencies, your characteristics, things like that.
Oh.
So let's start with Vata. Vata combines air and ether. So think about like movement, change, a really quick mind.
Lots of energy.
Yeah, exactly. Vata types are often creative, adaptable, and, well, light on their feet.
Okay.
And I mean that both physically and mentally.
Right, so someone who's always on the go, a little scattered maybe.
Yeah. They could have a strong Vata influence.
Interesting.
Vata is associated with qualities like dryness, lightness, coldness, and that mobility we were talking about.
Okay.
So that explains why Vata types might get cold really easily or have dry skin or even be kind of anxious.
I've always wondered why some people are just always cold.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is there a reason for that in Ayurveda?
Absolutely. For Vata types, it often comes from having too much of that air element.
Okay.
It can lead to poor circulation and make you feel cold from the inside out.
Ah, that makes sense.
So to balance that out, Ayurveda recommends grounding practices.
Like what?
Well, things like warm oil massages.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and eating warming foods, especially root vegetables.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about feeling cold, it's like an imbalance.
Right.
You have to address the underlying energy.
Okay. What about cravings? Do the doshas have anything to do with cravings?
Yeah, they totally do. For example, Vata types often crave sweet, sour, and salty tastes.
Why is that?
Well, those flavors help to ground them and counter that dryness they have naturally.
So think about, like, when you get those late night cravings for salty snacks.
Oh, yeah?
That might be your Vata dosha talking.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we talked about Vata. What about Pitta?
Okay, so Pitta is totally different.
Okay.
While Vata is all about movement, Pitta embodies transformation.
Transformation.
Yeah. Think of the intensity of fire. It's heat.
Gotcha.
Pitta combines the fire and water elements, and it governs our metabolism, digestion, and drive.
So are you saying that people who are really driven, like really ambitious, might have a dominant Pitta dosha?
Exactly. Pitta types are often natural leaders. They're driven, organized, and sharp. But they can be prone to anger and inflammation when they're out of balance.
Yeah, like a fire that burns too brightly.
Exactly.
I like that analogy.
Pitta is associated with qualities like hot, sharp, light, and oily. That explains why Pitta types might struggle with things like heartburn or skin rashes or even just get angry really easily.
So how do you balance that out? Like, do you just tell a Pitta person to calm down?
Not quite. You have to understand their constitution and then make changes to their lifestyle and diet.
Okay.
So for Pitta, you want to focus on cooling foods and spices.
Like what?
Spices like fennel and coriander help to calm that fiery nature, and they do well with sweet, bitter, and astringent tastes.
Gotcha. So like craving a glass of iced tea on a hot day.
Yes, exactly. That's your Pitta seeking balance. On the other hand, spicy chilies would do the opposite.
Make them even more fiery.
Yeah, it could lead to heartburn or inflammation.
Makes sense. I never really thought about food choices impacting my energy and emotions so much.
That's Ayurveda for you.
Okay, so we've got Vata and Pitta. What about Kapha?
Kapha is all about stability and structure.
Grounding energy.
Yeah. Kapha combines the water and earth elements. They're calm, grounded, patient, and nurturing.
It's people who love routines. They like things to be predictable.
Exactly. Think of the stillness of a calm lake.
Peaceful.
Yeah. Kapha is all about stability and comfort, but they can be prone to, well, things like sluggishness and weight gain when out of balance.
Makes sense. So it's all about finding that sweet spot. Not too much, not too little.
Exactly. Understanding your dominant dosha helps you recognize your strength and make choices that support balance. Like we were saying, Kapha is associated with qualities like heavy, slow, cool, oily, smooth, and stable.
Yeah.
So to balance that out, they actually need stimulation and lightness.
So like if a Vata person might want a warm oil massage on a cold day, a Kapha person would need the opposite.
Yeah. They might need a brisk walk or some stimulating yoga.
Okay.
And just like with Pitta, food is a big part of it too. Kapha does well with pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes.
Because it helps to counter that heavy energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like imagine craving spicy curry on a cold day. That's your Kapha seeking balance.
So interesting. It's a whole new way to think about health. We talked about these three doshas, but how does Ayurveda approach health overall?
It's fascinating, really. Ayurveda doesn't just focus on treating symptoms.
Oh, okay.
It tries to understand the root cause of those imbalances.
So you're not just putting a Band-Aid on the problem.
Exactly. And it uses a more holistic approach.
So it's not just taking a pill or going on a diet.
It's way more than that. Ayurveda uses things like yoga, nutrition, exercise, meditation, breathing techniques, and detoxification.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. It's about creating a lifestyle that works for you, for your unique constitution.
So it really is personalized. It's not just following generic advice.
Nope. You have to understand your individual needs and make choices based on that.
Okay. This idea of harmony really speaks to me. It's like we're not just a bunch of separate parts. We're a whole being, right?
Exactly. And that connection extends to nature, too. Ayurveda reminds us that we're connected to the rhythms of nature and that being in sync with those rhythms can help us feel better.
So it's like this big interconnected web.
It is. And it even has a really unique perspective on disease.
Disease? How so?
Well, Ayurveda sees disease not as something to be scared of, but as an opportunity for healing and growth.
Okay.
It says that illnesses can happen when we're not in sync with our true nature.
Interesting.
It's a chance to look at our choices and try to restore balance.
That's a really different way of thinking about it. It's not like a failure. It's a chance to learn.
Exactly. And it emphasizes that true healing happens when you address the root cause, not just the symptoms.
It makes a lot of sense why Ayurveda has been around for so long.
Yeah.
It's so holistic. Can you talk more about disease as an opportunity?
Sure. Ayurveda sees illness as like a signal, you know? Something's out of balance. It's not about blame, though.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we can change things.
So it's empowering.
Yeah. You're taking ownership of your health.
I like that. It's about being proactive instead of reactive.
You got it. We have the tools to heal and thrive within ourselves.
We've only just scratched the surface, but this has given me a lot to think about. What are some specific things that Ayurveda recommends for balance and harmony?
Well, now that's where it gets really interesting. Ayurveda has so many practices, and we can talk about those next.
Awesome. We'll continue our deep dive into Ayurveda after a short break. So before the break, we were talking about how Ayurveda uses a whole toolkit of practices to support our well-being.
Yeah.
What are some of those? How can we actually use them in our lives?
Well, one of the big things in Ayurveda is daily routines.
Okay.
They call them dinacharya.
Dinacharya. I've heard that word before.
Yeah, it's all about creating a rhythm for your body.
Okay.
It helps regulate your biological clock, keeps you in sync with the natural rhythms of the day.
So what kind of things are we talking about?
Well, you want to start the day with intention.
Okay.
Set yourself up for success. So dinacharya often includes things like waking up early, tongue scraping, oil pulling.
Oh, oil pulling. Is that an Ayurvedic thing?
It actually originated in Ayurveda.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's gotten pretty popular lately. You basically swish oil around in your mouth.
Okay.
Usually sesame or a coconut oil for a few minutes.
And that's supposed to detoxify.
Yeah, it cleanses and detoxifies.
Interesting. What about tongue scraping? Why do they do that?
Ayurveda believes that toxins build up on your tongue overnight.
Oh, okay.
So by scraping it, you get rid of those toxins, which can actually improve your sense of taste.
Really?
Yeah, and it helps with digestion too.
Huh. Never thought about that. You also mentioned self-massage earlier.
Oh, yeah. Abhyanga.
Abhyanga.
It's a great way to nourish your body and rejuvenate.
So how do you do it?
Traditionally, You use warm sesame oil.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to penetrate really deeply and calm the nervous system.
Sounds relaxing. So we've got oil pulling, tongue scraping, self-massage. What about exercise and meditation?
Oh, those are important too.
Okay.
Ayurveda sees movement as essential for health.
But it's not about, like, pushing yourself to the limit.
No. It's about finding something you enjoy.
Okay.
And something that works for your dosha.
Right. So like a Vata person might need something grounding.
Exactly. Maybe some yoga.
Yeah.
While a Pitta person might want something more cooling.
Like swimming.
Yeah, swimming could be great for Pitta.
And the meditation.
Meditation is all about quieting the mind.
Okay.
It helps you connect with your inner wisdom.
So it's like taking care of yourself on all levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, and emotionally.
I like that.
Hmm.
So we've talked about dinacharya,
Right.
those daily routines. Is there anything else Ayurveda recommends for staying balanced?
Well, there's also Ritacharya.
Ritacharya?
Yeah, it means seasonal routines.
Seasonal routines.
Yeah. Ayurveda recognizes that just like nature goes through cycles, our bodies do too.
Interesting. So we should adjust our routines based on the season.
Exactly. Each season has its own energy, and we need to adapt to that.
Okay, so can you give me an example?
Sure, let's take winter. In Ayurveda, winter is associated with kapha dosha.
Because it's cold and damp and heavy.
Exactly. It's that kapha energy.
Yeah, I definitely feel more sluggish in the winter.
Right. So during winter, Ayurveda recommends incorporating practices that counter those kapha qualities.
So what would that look like?
Think about warming spices,
Right.
like ginger and cinnamon, and invigorating exercise.
Yeah, get the blood flowing.
Exactly. And lighter meals.
Okay, was the heavy comfort food?
Right. It's all about adapting to the environment.
It seems like a lot to keep track of.
Well, that's where an Ayurvedic practitioner can be helpful.
Okay,
They can give you personalized guidance for your dosha and the season.
gotcha. So it's like learning the principles and then figuring out how to apply them to your own life.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing process. The more you learn about Ayurveda, the more you'll notice those subtle shifts in yourself.
I like that. So we've talked about daily routines, seasonal routines.
Mm-hmm.
What about diet? Does Ayurveda have anything to say about that?
Oh, absolutely. Food is medicine in Ayurveda.
Okay.
It's not just about what you eat. It's about how and when you eat.
So it's not like counting calories or anything.
It's much more holistic than that. Ayurveda is all about mindful eating.
Mindful eating.
Yeah. Savoring each bite, eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full.
I'm definitely guilty of rushing through meals.
Ayurveda would say that that can actually disrupt your digestion.
Really?
Yeah. You want to be present and intentional when you eat.
Okay, so mindful eating. Are there specific foods that Ayurveda recommends or says to avoid?
Well, it depends on your dosha.
Right. So what would you recommend for each dosha?
Okay, so for Vata, remember they're dry, light, and cold.
Yeah.
So they need warm, cooked foods.
Okay.
Healthy fats, and grounding spices.
Like what?
Things like cooked grains like rice and oats.
Okay.
Root vegetables, warming spices like ginger and cumin.
Gotcha.
And healthy fats like ghee and avocado.
What about things to avoid?
Vata types generally want to stay away from cold, raw foods,
Okay.
caffeine, and overly stimulating spices.
So no big salads with iced coffee for Vata.
Uh-huh. Probably not the best choice.
Makes sense. What about Pitta?
Pitta is all about heat and intensity, right?
Yeah.
So they need cooling, calming foods.
What are some examples?
Sweet fruits, leafy greens, cucumber, cilantro, coconut water.
Very refreshing.
Yeah. And they'll want to avoid spicy foods.
Okay.
Fermented foods, too much caffeine or alcohol.
So no spicy curry and a glass of wine for Pitta.
Probably not a good idea if they're already feeling heated.
That makes sense. And Kapha.
Kapha is heavy, dense, and cold.
Okay.
So they need lighter, stimulating foods.
So what would it be?
Things like legumes, pungent spices.
Like ginger and black pepper.
Yes. Cooked greens, lighter grains like quinoa and barley.
And what should Kapha avoid?
Heavy, oily foods.
Okay.
Dairy products, sugary sweets, cold foods, and drinks.
So no ice cream for Kapha.
Haha. Probably not the best choice.
Okay, so Ayurveda really does personalize everything.
It does. It's about understanding your own needs and making choices that work for you.
I love that. It's so empowering.
It is. You have the power to influence your well-being.
We've covered a lot about Ayurveda, from the doshas to routines to diet.
Yeah, we have.
Anything else you want to add about its approach to health and well-being?
I think the most important thing to remember is that Ayurveda isn't just a healthcare system. It's a philosophy of living.
In harmony with ourselves, and the world around us?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that everything is interconnected.
That's beautiful.
And it reminds us that well-being isn't just physical health.
Right. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual, too.
Exactly. It's about living a fulfilling life on all levels.
I love that. We'll continue our deep dive into the world of Ayurveda after a short break. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking all about Ayurveda, and honestly, I'm so impressed with how holistic it is.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
Earlier you said that Ayurveda is more than just healthcare.
Right.
It's a whole philosophy of living that really resonated with me. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So Ayurveda sees us as part of a larger web of life. Like we're all connected, to each other and to the world around us. It says the things we do, the choices we make, they impact not just us, but other people and the planet too.
So it's about living sustainably and in harmony with everything.
Exactly. Ayurveda is all about respecting nature's rhythms, the environment, and being compassionate to everyone.
I love that. It's like a framework for a meaningful life.
Yeah, it really is. And it says that well-being isn't just about our bodies.
Right.
It's about our minds, our emotions, and our spirits, too.
Okay, so speaking of spiritual well-being, what does Ayurveda say about the connection between our inner and outer worlds?
That's a great question. Ayurveda believes that true beauty comes from within.
So it's not about, looks.
It's deeper than that. It's about cultivating inner peace and balance, and then that shows up on the outside.
So our appearance, our energy, even how we interact with people.
Yeah. It all reflects what's happening inside.
That makes sense. I know when I'm stressed, it shows up on my skin.
Exactly. Ayurveda says those external signs are a reflection of what's going on internally.
Like our body's talking to us.
Yeah. We have to pay attention to those signs and take care of ourselves.
Listen to our bodies.
Yeah, and respond with compassion.
We've learned so much about Ayurveda today.
We have.
From the doshas to the routines to diet. As we wrap up this deep dive, is there anything else you want to share?
I think the most important thing is that Ayurveda is about empowering you.
Okay.
It's about getting to know yourself better, understanding your unique constitution, and making choices that help you feel your best.
I like that. It's not about strict rules, but about listening to your own inner wisdom.
Exactly. It's your journey.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's been so enlightening.
My pleasure. This is just the beginning of your Ayurveda journey.
Yeah.
There's so much more to learn and explore.
Keep learning, keep experimenting.
Right. And most importantly, keep listening to yourself.
That's great advice. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has made you curious about Ayurveda.
Yeah.
And inspired you to try it out. Maybe you connected with Kapha, Pitta, or Vata today.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is. But remember, Ayurveda is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Enjoy the process, experiment, and have fun. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
See you next time.
See you next time.